The wounded human. The forest on Xyrix 4 was hot, red and silent. Alien medic Rena moved carefully between the glowing roots. Her soft boots didn't make a sound. She held her scanner up. The signal was close now, just ahead. One life sign. Weak. Non-Xyrixian, the scanner said. Her heart beat faster. It couldn't be a human. They were rare here. Few ever made it this deep into the jungle. Rena stepped into a small clearing. That's when she saw him. A tall human male, covered in dirt and blood, sat against a tree. His leg was twisted the wrong way. His arm hung uselessly at his side. His face was pale, but his eyes were sharp. He looked up at her. "Hey," he said, smiling weakly. "Nice to meet you." Rena froze. No Xyrixian soldier would smile like that, not with 2 broken limbs. You're injured," she said. "Don't move, I'll call for help." But the human just laughed. "No time, they're coming." "Who's coming?" "Doesn't matter," he said, "I just need a few seconds." Then, he did something that made her stomach twist. The human grabbed his own leg with both hands. Without warning, he pulled hard and snapped the broken bone back into place. There was a loud crack. Rena gasped, then he grabbed his shoulder and slammed it against the tree. Another crack. His arm popped back into position. Rena's vision blurred, her breath caught. "What are you doing?" she cried. "Resetting. It helps the healing," he said calmly. "You'll pass out." "No," he said. "You will." And he was right. The world spun. Rena's knees gave out. The last thing she saw was the human looking down at her with a smirk. "Wake me up when the rescue team gets here," he said. Then everything went black. Hours later, Medical Bay, Xyrixian drop. Ship Rena woke to the soft beep of a monitor. The lights were dim. A cool breeze moved through the vents. She sat up fast, memories rushing back. The human, the bones, the pain, the smirk. She looked around. There he was, sitting on a bed across from her, shirt off, covered in bandages and bruises. But he was eating. Laughing, with one of the guards, not groaning, not crying, just normal. He looked at her and smiled. "Hey, sleepyhead." She blinked. How are you even awake?" He shrugged. "Had worse. One time I fell from a cliff on Mars and dislocated both knees." She stared at him. "That's not normal." "Nope," he said. "It's human." Later, that day, Observation Room Rena sat with her superior, Commander Vex. They watched the human on the screen. He was doing push-ups with bandaged ribs. "That's insane," she whispered. Commander Vex nodded. "It's not the first time. Humans, they're different." "But how? Their biology isn't that much stronger." "It's not just strength," Vex said. "It's something else. They feel pain, but they don't stop." Rena thought about how his bones cracked, how he barely flinched. She shivered. "Do you know what he said to me before I fainted?" she asked. "What?" "You will." And then I did. Vex looked at her. "Don't let their smiles fool you. They're not weak. They're survivors." That night, Rena's quarters, Rena lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Her people had trained her to fear pain, to avoid it, to heal it. But that human, he embraced it. And somehow that scared her more than any enemy. What kind of creature resets his own bones just to keep going? She whispered. Then she answered her own question. A human. The recovery camp. The next morning on Xyrix 4, the alien base was quiet. Medics moved between recovery tents. Drones floated through the air, scanning wounds. Outside, red dust blew softly over the hills. Inside the medical tent, Rena stood still, arms crossed, eyes locked on the human. He was doing push-ups again. His ribs were still wrapped. His leg was still bruised. And yet, with every push, he looked more alive than before. "You should be resting," she said firmly. The human looked up and grinned. I'm resting between sets. You call this resting? Where I'm from, he replied. This is warm-up. Rena shook her head. You humans are mad. Yeah, we get that a lot. They called him Hayes. She finally asked his name. Hayes, he said simply. Private first class, Earthborn. Probably bad at taking orders. I noticed, she muttered. He chuckled. There was a pause. Then Rena asked what had been burning in her mind since yesterday. Why didn't you wait for help? Hayes stretched his shoulder slowly, then looked at her. His eyes weren't joking now. Because if I waited, you'd be the one lying in that jungle, not me. I'm the medic. You were the one hurt. I've seen how long rescue takes in red zones. I couldn't risk it. She went quiet. No alien she knew would choose pain over waiting. But this human, he made pain his strategy. Behind the muscle, the truth later, she sat across from him, holding her data tablet. You heal fast, she said. Faster than any Xerixian soldier. Hayes shrugged. Bones break. They grow back. That's life. But doesn't it hurt? Always. Then why do it? Hayes leaned forward. Because pain means I'm alive. And if I'm alive, I fight. That's how we were raised. Rena frowned. That's not survival, that's madness. Maybe, he said, but madness wins wars. That night, in the rain, a storm hit the outpost. Heavy rain poured from the orange sky. Tents shook, power flickered. Rena walked outside to check equipment. And there, in the mud, was Hayes, shirt off, rain pounding on his bandaged chest, lifting metal crates and training. What are you doing? She yelled. Training, he replied without stopping. You're still injured. Exactly why I need to train harder. She stepped closer, rain soaking her coat. You're not just built different, she said softly. You believe different. Hayes stopped, breathing heavy. Pain is a teacher. Where I come from, if you don't learn fast, you don't survive. Rena looked at him, soaked, scarred, still standing, and she finally understood. That's why you didn't scream, she whispered. Hayes looked her in the eyes. Screaming doesn't help the bones reset. The unexpected question. Before they left, Rena sat beside him under the shelter. She asked something strange. Do humans cry? Hayes blinked. Of course we do. Even ones like you? He smiled, softer this time. I cried when my sister left for Titan. I cried when my dog died. I even cried once after training because I couldn't get up anymore. She looked surprised. But you looked so strong. We cry, he said, so we don't explode. As the sun rose over, Xyrix 4, Rena looked at Hayes, already standing with gear packed. Still hurt? She asked. Always, he said with a grin. Then why are you walking? Hayes nodded toward the horizon. Because someone out there might need me. And pain. Pain will have to keep up. Human Biology 101. The Science. Hall aboard the Xyrixian cruiser was cold, quiet and glowing with soft blue light. Alien medic Rena stood beside a large scan display. Beside her, Hayes, the human soldier, sat calmly on the exam table, shirt off, eyes sharp, waiting. She had called him here for tests, not because he was sick, but because he was impossible. You reset your own bones, she said, scrolling through medical scans. You walked with cracked ribs. Your fever didn't slow you down. Hayes just smiled. Sounds like a good day. Rena looked up. A Xyrixian soldier would be unconscious for a week. Then it's a good thing I'm not one of those. Curiosity or fear. Truth be told, Rena wasn't just curious anymore. She was worried. If even half of what Hayes had survived was true, then humans weren't just tough. They were terrifying. She tapped the screen. Your pain response is different. Your nerves don't shut you down like ours. We can't afford to be shut down, Hayes said. Pain is information, not an excuse. But your body, it repairs itself while you keep moving. Exactly. Why? He paused for a moment. Because if we stop, we die, and on Earth everything tries to kill us, even the weather. Rena raised an eyebrow. Even the sky? Ever heard of a hurricane? He said, chuckling. Muscle, mind, and madness. She studied his x-rays, cracks in ribs, already sealing, old, bone fractures in the arm, perfectly aligned like they had healed during combat. Tiny scars across the chest, some laser-shaped, some old and ragged. She turned to him. Your heart rate stays stable during stress. Your brain doesn't panic. We train for it. No, you were built for it. Hayes leaned forward slightly. I'll let you in on a secret. What? We scream at home. We break. We hurt. But out here, in front of others, we don't. Rena was quiet. Because if you do, then someone else suffers instead. Rena's flashback, she remembered her first injury as a cadet, a twisted ankle during a field run. She had cried for 3 hours. They told her she was too soft, too slow. But Hayes? He had broken a leg and still fought off 2 hostiles. You make pain look small, she said. Hayes shrugged. Pain isn't the enemy. Giving up is. A training offer suddenly. Hayes stood. Enough talk. Time to test something. What? You want to understand us? Come spar with me. Rena stepped back. What? You're a human tank. Then you'll learn faster. They stepped into the training bay. Rena wore padded armor. Hayes wore none. This feels unfair, she muttered. It is. That's the point. She swung. He dodged. She jabbed. He stepped back. He didn't even touch her. He let her burn out. After 5 minutes, she dropped her hands, gasping. You didn't fight. No, I watched. You fight like you're scared to lose. And you? I fight like I already did. The deeper layer that night, Rena reviewed his blood work. Not just muscle strength, but mental resistance, cortisol, low, adrenaline, high, recovery speed, twice as fast as any Zyrixian standard. But what truly shocked her was the section labeled emotional endurance. Hayes had lost more in his 27 Earth years than most Zyrixians did in a lifetime. Parents, squad mates, a twin brother, all in combat. Still, he smiled. Still, he stood. You carry grief like armor, she whispered. Next morning, Rena found Hayes, fixing a supply drone. I still don't understand how you're not broken, she said. He looked at her. I am broken, he said softly. But that's why I'm stronger now. She didn't argue. For the first time, she just nodded. Teach me. He raised an eyebrow. Teach you? Pain? No, Rena said. Teach me how to walk through it. A mission gone wrong. The sky above the jungle planet was dark red, covered in smoke and fire. The team had landed for a simple supply pickup. But nothing about this mission was going to be simple. Keanu Hayes walked ahead, scanning the tree line with his rifle. Behind him, Rena followed closely, eyes wide. She had never seen a world like this, moist air, thick mud, and sounds that didn't belong to any animal she knew. Why is it so quiet? She whispered. That's the problem, Hayes muttered. Too quiet usually means we're not alone. Suddenly, a shriek cut through the air. Something fast and large crashed from the trees. Move! Ambush! Laser! Fire lit up the jungle. Hostile alien creatures with 6 legs and armored hides charged from every side. Hayes dove in front of Rena, firing fast and hard. One creature tackled him to the ground, but he rolled, twisted, and snapped its neck with brutal force. Get behind that rock, he shouted to her. She ran, slipping in the mud. Her heart raced. She was a medic, not a soldier. But this wasn't training anymore. This was survival. Rena's mistake. She fumbled with her blaster, fired blindly, missed every shot. One beast leaped at her, and that's when Hayes appeared, bleeding from his shoulder. He kicked the alien midair and tackled it into the ground. You okay? He asked, panting. I froze, she admitted, shaking. Then thaw fast. We're not done. The cliffside trap Hayes and Rena climbed up a slope, enemies chasing close. They reached a cliff, nowhere else to go. Hayes looked down. A narrow river below, jagged rocks on both sides. We have to jump, he said. What? Are you insane? We stay, we die. He turned to her. Do you trust me? She hesitated, then nodded. Together, they jumped. The river's rage. They hit the water hard. The current dragged them for miles. Rena struggled to breathe, her armor too heavy. Hayes swam beside her, holding her up even with one arm injured. They finally reached a shallow bank. Both lay on the rocks, gasping. You saved me, she whispered. You're not allowed to die yet, he replied. You still owe me that sparring rematch, tending wounds, earning respect. That night, inside a small cave, Rena cleaned his wounds. Her hands were steadier. This time, she didn't panic. She didn't cry. Hayes watched her. You're stronger than you think. Because of you. No, he said. Because you chose to fight. She finished wrapping his shoulder. Why do you do this? She asked. Why keep risking your life? He looked up at the stars beyond the cave's entrance. Because someone once saved me the same way. A moment of silence. For a while they said nothing, just sat, listened to the night sounds. In that moment, Rena didn't see Hayes as a monster, of endurance or a terrifying fighter. She saw a man, wounded, kind, still standing. The mission ends, but something begins. The rescue ship arrived 2 days later. Their team had assumed them dead, but when Hayes and Rena stepped off the ship together, bruised but alive, the entire hangar went silent. Then applause. Even the Zyrixian commander nodded in respect. But Rena? She just looked at Hayes, smiled, and whispered, I get it now. Humans don't survive because they're strong. They survive because they refuse to stay down. The battlefield was lit by twin moons and the glowing ruins of what used to be a Zyrixian forward camp. Smoke curled upward like ghostly fingers. The enemy thought they had seen everything, until tonight. Inside the command tent, Commander Valtor watched the footage. A human had taken down 7 of his finest in hand-to-hand. Combat, alone, with one arm in a sling. He paused the video, zoomed in. Who is this? He growled. The technician beside him replied with a shaky voice. Keanu Hayes, human, rank, field ops. Valtor narrowed his eyes. Bring me everything you have. Now. Meanwhile, back at the base, Keanu was silent as the medic checked his shoulder. Rena sat across from him, not saying much. But her eyes said everything. Respect, gratitude, wonder. A general walked in. Hayes, debrief room, now. Keanu stood without a word, even though his arm was still bloody. An unexpected intel drop. The debrief room holograms floated mid-air. Maps, reports. Red zones blinking across the region. You scared them, said the general. Didn't mean to, Keanu replied dryly. You'll like this. Enemy chatter says they're calling you something now. He tapped the screen. 3 Zyrixian words glowed. Translated, the one who bleeds and does not fall. Keanu raised an eyebrow. Dramatic. Effective, the general replied. They're terrified, and we're sending you back out. Back. Into fire, the dropship roared through the clouds. This time, Keanu had backup. Rena and 2 elite operatives. Their mission? Extract prisoners from a Zyrixian holding facility. The ship rattled from incoming fire. You still trust me? Keanu asked Rena. I jumped off a cliff with you, I'm in. They landed hard. Bullets, lasers, and panic followed. Keanu breaks the gate. When the team reached the holding facility, they found a sealed vault door. 3 locks. No time. Keanu walked up, tore one off with raw strength, shot the second, and used a metal bar to wedge the third until it cracked. The door burst open. Prisoners cried in shock and joy. One whispered, Are you human? Last I checked, Keanu said with a smirk. The confrontation commander Valtor arrived by airbike. Landing hard. His guards spread out. He walked right into the flames and smoke, and came face to face with Keanu. "You're the one they fear," Valtor hissed. "Didn't mean to be," Keanu said. "But you are," Valtor growled, drawing his twin blades. Keanu cracked his neck. "Guess we're doing this the hard way." The duel the blades came fast, Xerixian steel against bare fists. Keanu dodged, blocked, took a cut across the cheek. Then, he smiled. He grabbed one blade mid-swing, twisted, broke it. With the handle still in Valtor's hand, Keanu punched the commander square in the chest, dropping him to his knees. "This is for the prisoners," Keanu said. He turned, walked away. Valtor gasped for air, staring at the blood on his hands. "He didn't even kill me." "He didn't have to," one of his soldiers whispered. "He already won. New reputation when they returned, the prisoners safe. The crowd that met them didn't cheer. They stood in stunned silence, watching, respecting. Rena stood by Keanu, her uniform torn, a burn across her collarbone. "You're becoming a legend," she told him softly. "Legends die young," he replied. "But you live on in hearts," she said. Keanu paused, then looked up at the stars again. "Let's just keep saving people," she smiled. "That's what legends do." The warrior within. The Nylari warrior ships circled like silver birds above the mountain basin, shimmering in the twilight. Leora stood at the cliff's edge, her wind-whipped hair braided with thin wires of honor. Below, the scorched valley still bore the scars of the night before, twisted metal, craters, and the unmistakable claw trails left by the alien predator that had haunted their outpost, and one figure stood alone in the center of it all. Jack. His body was bruised, arm wrapped in torn cloth, but he stood tall, like a monument to the chaos. He had survived, and won. The council had arrived. Not because they believed the human was anything special, but because rumors had spread too fast to ignore. Leora's message had reached orbit. A human had fought a Cathar Alpha alone. And lived. No one had ever done that. Not on foot. Not with a broken arm. Not without exo-armor. And yet, Jack had. Leora walked beside the elder marshal, her boots crunching, the dry grass. Her heart was pounding, not with fear now, but with something deeper. Admiration? Guilt? Or awe? "This is the one?" the marshal asked, eyes narrowed. "Yes. Jack. He has no clan, no creed, no training logs on record." "He doesn't need them," the marshal scoffed. "He's a brute." Leora stopped. "He saved my life. He healed himself with nothing. He fought that thing while I was unconscious." "He killed it, sir." The marshal looked at her, surprised. "I watched the footage," Leora continued. "He dragged me to safety, set up a perimeter, laid traps, all while injured. That's not a brute. That's a soldier. At the war, circle below, Jack knelt before the Cathar corpse. He had returned with its head, not for glory but proof. He wasn't one for speeches or celebrations, just results. Leora stepped into the circle. Her armor gleamed now, repaired and polished. But next to Jack, she still felt like a rookie. "You're going to disappear after this, aren't you?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Not one for councils and medals. They'll want to keep you. Maybe even try to make you fight for them. Let them try." She smirked. "What if I asked you to stay?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "Why?" She hesitated. "Because I've never met someone like you, not even among my kind. You scare me. But also, I've never felt safer." He looked at her, quiet for a moment, then shrugged. "That's a first." Later, when the sun dipped below the ridges and the sky turned purple with stardust, the council declared Jack a free guardian. It meant he could go where he wanted, carry arms on Nylari soil, and answer to no one but his conscience. Most thought he'd leave immediately, but he didn't. He stayed, long enough to help Leora rebuild the outpost, train the recruits, reinforce defenses, Fix things quietly. When she asked why, he simply said, "Because I can." But one night he was gone. No note. No trail. Just an empty bedroll and the silent knowledge that he'd moved on to help someone else. That was the human way, not to wait for recognition, but to rise when needed and vanish like smoke in the wind. A name carved in Fire 3 cycles had passed. Theory. Crater where Jack fought the Seathar Alpha had become sacred ground. Leora stood before a monument carved from obsidian, an unmarked pillar towering and cold. She touched the surface with her hand, eyes closed. No name was etched into it, but everyone knew who it honored. The human. Jack. They called him many things. Now. The Bone Breaker. Shadow of Flame. The Guardian without crest. But for Leora, he would always be something else. The turning point. Because after Jack, everything changed. The new recruits didn't flinch anymore when sparring with humans. Interplanetary alliances began reviewing Earth with new respect. And, on Nylari command logs, a human's tactics were being studied, quietly, reverently. Jack had become a ghost in every war room. His methods used, his instincts mimicked, his discipline feared, but his face? Only Leora had truly seen it up close. Dirty, bloodied, eyes glowing with purpose, snapping his bones back into place with brutal calm. Not out of madness, but out of will. The kind of will no battle simulator could replicate. One night, Leora climbed the mountain again, her fingers trembling with something unspoken. She carried with her a crystal, a memory shard encoded with images from her helmet cam. Not for public archive, but for one person. She left it on the edge of the monument, and then she whispered, "I don't know where you are now, but if you ever come back, we'll be ready." The screen flickered on a distant planet somewhere in the void. A local news feed played quietly in the corner of a seedy repair shop. A man in a coat patched with alien fiber sipped from a chipped mug and stared. On screen, Leora, leading a new coalition. Behind her, the monument. The bartender leaned over. "You watching that old war stuff again?" The man, grizzled, scarred, a faint limp, only gave a small smirk. Just keeping an eye on old friends. That night he walked out under the stars. No badge, no rank, no mission, just Jack. And in the wind, you could almost hear it. His name not carved in stone, but carved in fire across the galaxy.